Good morning. Today we are going to deal with some of the diseases of larynx. First of all, congenital disease. The most common is laryngomalacia. So, laryngomalacia, it is most common condition causing inspiratory stridor at or soon after birth. It may persist throughout infancy. Pathology. Larynx is of an exaggerated infantile type. The epiglottis is long and narrow and folded backward at its lateral edge. This converts the epiglottis an almost complete cylinder. The epiglottic folds are also approximated. The laryngeal inlet is therefore reduced to a cruciate slit, the edges of which are sucked in, that is, downwards by each inspiration. Clinical feature: the stridor is the only symptom and appears at or soon after birth. It is croaking in character and mainly inspiratory in phase. It is diminished by rest and sleep, increased by exertion. Periods of quiet breathing occurs intermittently. It disappears between 2nd and 5th years of age. Cyanosis is rare. Voice is unchanged. Rhonchi and craves are commonly present at the base of imperfectly expanded lungs. Exaggerated infantile type larynx can be seen on direct laryngoscopy. The edges of laryngeal inlet are seen to be drawn in with inspiration. Diagnosis can be made by careful history and examination. Inspiratory stridor without hoarseness is always suggestive when occurring at or soon after birth. Flexible fibroptic examination and if necessary, direct laryngoscopy will distinguish the condition from number 1, congenital wave of the larynx, number 2, papilloma, which produces husky cry, laryngismus stridulus, in which a stridor usually occurs after 4 months of life. Simple acute laryngitis, also called laryngitis stridulus. 5th, laryngeal diphtheria. 6th, cyst of the larynx. Treatment: reassurance is in the majority of cases of this rare disease all that is necessary. Tracheostomy may rarely have to be performed in very severe cases. It should be avoided whenever possible. Prognosis should be guarded but is usually good. Death in first year of life usually due to pneumonia. Inflammation of the larynx. Acute simple laryngitis in adults. An acute superficial inflammation of the laryngeal mucous membrane. Etiology: infection as a part of generalized upper respiratory tract infection or as sudden localized laryngitis. These forms are primarily viral. It is common in winter and early spring. Second is trauma due to vocal abuse or intubation trauma. Third is irritation from inhaled fumes or gas. Pathology. There are various stages and degree of inflammation. First is infection of the mucosa is at first slight and generalized, and the vocal cords may escape in early stage. Second is edema follows, and the whole laryngeal mucosa is usually involved. Third is sticky mucopurulent exudate may cover the surface. Sixth is slight superficial abrasion are sometimes seen. Fifth is purulent exudation occurs in very severe forms with marked injection and edema known as septic laryngitis. Sixth is fibrinous laryngitis occurs in influenza or some focal infections. These are white deposits of plaques on the surface of the cord. Perichondritis may follow the septic form. The causative organism is usually the hemolytic streptococcus. Clinical feature: hoarseness, discomfort in the throat, pain is slight or absent, dyspnea is usually slight. Dyspnea is absent unless edema occurs in severe cases. Cough, dry and irritating. Generalized symptoms. Symmetrical redness of the vocal cords, sticky secretion on the vocal cords. Progress: inflammation is usually restores in a few days. The hoarseness may persist for a long as 2 weeks after apparent resolution. A functional aphonia may follow a simple acute laryngitis, especially in women. In severe case of inflammation, may spread throughout the tracheobronchial tree and lungs, more commonly in aged person. Treatment: local and general. Local treatment: vocal rest is essential. A quiet whisper is allowed. Steam inhalation with tincture benzoin cordico or menthol helps to loosen viscid secretion. A spray or lozenges may be soothing effect. Cuff linctus are comforting. General is rest, avoid alcohol and tobacco. Systemic antibiotic in cases of infective origin. Acute simple laryngitis in children. Acute laryngitis is more serious condition in children than adult. The lymphatic drainage of the larynx is richer in child and submucosa is therefore more likely to be infected. The neuromuscular mechanism is also more easily upset and spasm more easily provoked. Finally, the child is less able to expel the secretion by coughing. Diphtheric laryngitis. Laryngeal diphtheria is usually extension of facial infection. It is difficult to diagnose when it is primarily laryngeal. Etiology: infection is due to Corynebacterium diphtheria. It is greater in children under 10 years of age, but occasionally affects young adults in camps. It is rare since immunization has been practiced. Clinical feature: onset is insidious cough and hoarse, croaky nature is the first symptom. Stridor, inspiratory in phase. It is accompanied by cyanosis. The cough becomes weak, muffled. Pyrexia is rarely above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Weak and rapid pulse accompanies the pyrexia. Stridor is rarely marked in adults, but in children may become prostrated rapidly. Grayish-white membrane appear on the affected parts. Bleeding may accompany on its separation. Diagnosis: identification of a specific organism in swab from the membrane. Diphtheria must be differentiated from acute laryngotracheal bronchitis, inhaled vegetable foreign body, acute simple laryngitis, laryngismus stridulus. Treatment: antitoxin injection by IM or IV route should be given whenever there is any suspicion of diphtheria, while awaiting confirmation of the diagnosis. The dose varies from 20,000 to 1 lakh units according to the age. Second is systemic penicillin, O2 inhalation when needed, tracheostomy when required, intubation may be done. Acute epiglottitis, a special form of acute laryngitis in which inflammation affects mainly the loosely attached mucosa of the epiglottis. Pathology: localized edema may obstruct the airway, especially in children in whom H. influenza may be the causal organism. Submucosal abscess may form. Clinical feature: dyspnea may be progressive and alarming, especially in children, in which death may occur within few hours of onset. Pain on swallowing is common than respiratory obstruction in adults. Constant supervision in hospital when a stridor is present. IV antibiotic in high dosage. Systemic steroids. Nasotracheal intubation. Tracheostomy may become urgently necessary, especially in children. Chronic non-specific laryngitis. This may follow an acute attack, but more often it arises insidiously due to faulty use of voice, overstraining, or excessive force. Infection in teeth, tonsil, and sinuses, especially when they results in excessive coughing. Excessive use of alcohol or tobacco, dust or irritant fumes. Rheumatic or gouty diathesis is said to cause. Pathology: hyperemia of the mucous membrane of the vocal cord is generally marked. Edema may also be present even in the absence of hyperemia. Myositis occurs in intrinsic muscles. Excessive acid secretion results from increased activity of mucous glands. The hyperemia and edematous stage after passes to granular hypertrophic one, rarely to an atrophic one. Clinical feature: hoarseness in the intermittent at first, aphonia is rare, cough may be present, it is only slight and dry and irritative. Soreness of throat is also a common complaints. Laryngeal appearance: there are three types of simple laryngitis. First is hyperemic, second is hypertrophic, third is edematous. In hyperemic, cords are injected or dull and softened in appearance. There may be some loss of adduction due to myositis. On severe case, the cords are deep red in color and appears rounded and sausage-like. Hypertrophic: there is thickening of the tissue of the cords and also the ventricular bands, arytenoids, interarytenoid space, and sometimes of the subglottic region. Edematous: the true cords are swollen and pale. The condition may be long standing. In all types, the larynx is nearly always affected bilaterally symmetrically. Treatment: vocal rest. Speech therapy may supplement and correct the faulty usage. Systemic antibiotics when swab shows the significant growth of organism. The appropriate antibiotic is chosen. Elimination of irritating factors. Carbocysteine: it is a mucolytic agent when secretions are thick, tenacious on the cords. Stripping of the cords is performed endoscopically if in resistance cases of edematous type. Vocal nodules or singles nodules or screamer's nodules, a condition occurring in person who use the voice excessively with straining or faulty production. Etiology: singers, especially sopranos and tenors, actors, teachers, mothers of young children, and person talking to the deaf are most frequently affected. It is more common in women and singers who use the glotti or sing above their natural range. Pathology: localized hyperkeratosis. The site is constant at the junction of anterior 1/3 and posterior 2/3 of free edge of one or both vocal cords. The nodules never become neoplastic. Clinical feature: increasing hoarseness appears either quite suddenly after one episode of strain or slowly and insidiously over a period of weeks or months. Vocal fatigue is noticed. Nodules are more commonly bilateral and symmetrical. They vary in size from that of minute pinhead to that of grape pip. An adherent block of mucus may obscure or mimic a node. Treatment: vocal rest is essential and cured some of the recent and small nodules. Elimination of focal sepsis, particularly teeth, tonsil and sinuses. Removal by direct laryngoscopy with the help of operating microscope indicated if the condition persists. Precise removal is possible without damage of the voice. Speech therapy can sometimes improve the situation when nodes are very small. In all cases, after surgery, advice of speech therapist should be obtained to correct the causative factors in voice production. Thank you.